right, we are back. Straight to Amp podcast today.
What's
Got
up?
myself here with Brian and Alex.
How's it going?
I'm DC, and we are sitting down with Silence Kit. We got Madden, Natalie, James, and Mike here today with us. How you guys doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Great. So how's the summer been?
Good.
Too-
Quiet a little bit.
Too
for
hot.
us.
Too hot.
Too hot for me.
Too hot. It's been a cool week this
Yeah.
week, so
It has been really like excruciatingly hot sometimes. Like I remember we've got this deck thermometer, and there's been a couple times where it's been close to 50. That's too
there's
hot.
some 40 days.
That's too hot.
Yeah. Some of my guitar strings are just like warped and dull, and just I need to replace all my strings right now.
See, this is why I keep my guitars in the basement.
Mine are in the basement. That's where it gets the most humidity.
Oh shit. Yeah, that's a good point.
All right.
Oops.
Well, let's get on with the band here. So we got Silence Kit. Tell us about yourself, the origins of Silence Kit.
Well, Natalie and I were in a band together before.
Oh, yeah?
Silence Kit called La Mancha, so that's how we met. And then James and Mike were also in a band together.
About
And-
5 of them.
Yeah, so many.
Yeah.
And then I met James, and we needed a drummer and a bassist, and they just hopped on and ditched their old band.
Nice. Okay, and what about the name Silence Kit? Where did that come from?
It comes from the typo on a Pavement record. It's the first song on an album by Pavement called Crooked Rain, and it's actually Silence Kid, but for some reason it got put on there as Silence Kit, and it's just kind of like this thing that's discussed on sometimes on like indie message boards about what really is it, and so I don't know, I just thought it worked, so I just like the name, I like the sound of it, so
I mean, it makes sense, right? Like everyone kind of always has their own thing when they're thinking of that sort of thing, stuff that they get influenced by, and so that's kind of cool. Pavement obviously a big influence for you guys, then, yeah.
For me, I can't really
For
speak.
just
Yeah,
that, yeah.
I love that band, but I know that we don't sound anything like them. So, but yeah, I listen to them a lot. So,
Okay, right on. That's kind of like part of that slowcore movement with like Pedro the Lion and stuff like that, right?
yeah, kind of in there. The slacker
Yeah.
California movement. Although
Yeah.
I read an interview with Stephen Malcolmus, their singer lately, and he was talking about how he considers them to be a New York band, and it was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, New York sounds different than California, and then, which is sort of a weird thing to say, but like, I think that, like there's Pacific Northwest bands that sound a certain way, and there's
Yeah.
California bands that sound a certain way, and New York bands.
Oh,
and
definitely.
I think that crosses genres as well. Like, I know, Mike, you've talked about like New York versus like California.
Yeah, like pop punk. Right?
Yeah.
Pop punk from New York is totally different from pop punk.
Right.
Mhm.
Pop punk from
Oh,
SoCal.
for sure.
Right?
Well, I mean, like the SoCal stuff is very obviously influenced by like ska, right?
Exactly,
And
yeah.
stuff like that. You can hear
Whereas
it's a lot of
yeah.
upstrokes and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Whereas,
And the New York one is very from their hardcore scene.
yeah,
It's more heavier rock
exactly,
for sure.
a lot
Yeah.
more distortion.
Yeah.
So we just kind of topped on how we all met. You two were in a band together, Matt and Natalie, and you guys were together in bands, and then you all just kind of met as a group.
Totally.
We like to talk about how tight the music community is in Winnipeg, and like how tight was it how quick was it for you guys, and how natural when you guys met up.
How we went into the scene or how we met up together, do you mean?
Actually, you brought good points. You have both.
Oh, both?
Let's go both.
Both.
Mainly point two, but yeah. let's
I
go
would
both.
agree that the scene's tight knit, but there are like different like fractions of the scene, and I just
It's kind of cliquey.
Yeah.
there's some aspects that are like
Third.
that. So I think we, especially because our genre is kind of like all over the place. I think at first we didn't know like where we fit in.
Right.
But, like I think once like Mike joined the band, he had friends in Tusk, and like you kind of like knew more. I think you kind of like helped us reach out more broadly to other bands, and I think we kind of found our people one way or another.
Mike's great at working a room.
Yeah. It's
Yeah. I also work in the audio industry, so
Okay.
I kind of
never-
run across people all the time, basically.
It's never a bad thing. No.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, I mean, like fitting into a scene, like what bands do you enjoy playing gigs with? Like, most bands seem to like enjoy playing with regulars, right? Like you guys
Yeah.
have a group. So name a few of the bands that you really enjoy playing with in the city.
Well, I mean, I think we like to try and play with as many people as possible, like just bands that we like, whether it's a close genre fit or not. I mean, I'm pretty open to multi-genre bills.
Totally,
Yeah, go to a show and you see, like 6 metal bands. Some people love that, some people don't, right?
Right.
That kind of idea.
to name a few like Tusk.
Yeah,
and
Tusk is awesome.
Yeah.
We played
House Panther,
Yeah,
we
House
like a lot.
Panther, Moontan a few times. We've played with. They're awesome.
yeah. Soul Hounds.
Soul
Soul Hounds,
Hounds,
yeah.
yeah.
Right. So tell us about the sound of Silence Kit. How did it come about?
All of our influences put in a blender, and I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like I said, like I listen to stuff like Pavement, and these guys don't. And then like we
Never
all
listened to a Pavement song
yeah
in my
we
life.
all have sort of our own influences, I guess. And then just working together, we just kind of
We've got a few bridges. We've got a
yeah.
few cross
There's
points.
yeah, that's true. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe. I mean, like, it also depends. Like, I purposely will like listen to music that I don't typically listen to because I feel like, you know, it'd be really cool to write songs in that way. So, like, I bought like a compilation CD of like the best of surf guitar.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, we'll see where that goes next. So yeah. So you know, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough question.
I don't know if we like sit down and like define like this is like our sound, like this is what we're going for. I think like in a cheesy way, I think we found like our musical soulmates. And I feel like Natalie and I like vibe really well with each other. I mean, we all vibe well with each other, but like Natalie and I at first, and these two as well. Like they, so I think we just like there's just an instinct there, I guess, when we like start playing music that we kind of know what we're going for without like maybe defining it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Except for when we write songs with them, and I was like, nah.
yeah.
A lot of times the three of us will work on something, and then we're like, hey, what do you think of this? And we'll go like, no.
Yeah.
And it's
So
like, okay.
we've got a whole album of just the three of us ready to go.
Yeah. No, I think that's always the cool thing is like I think that's how a lot of people do it is you come in, you all kind of grow up with the music you love and your inspirations, and it may not be the same as everybody else. And that's what's kind of the unique factor is you bring your own little bit to it, and then you make just this awesome goulash of music.
For sure.
Yeah,
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
That's how stuff like Social Distortion happens, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Some interesting things in super bands. So let's talk a little about the gear. What goes into the instrumentals of the band? What is the band?
This is
made
Derek's
of?
question. He said the gearhead.
Okay, this is a nerd question. Is that
Yeah,
what it
this
is?
is a gearhead nerd out.
Okay,
Nerd
well,
out. Natalie, you
I'm
go
closest
first.
to you, and I'm just excited for this question. I play primarily Fender guitars. I've tried SGs a few times. They sound cool. They feel weird to me. I like that, especially Jazz Masters. They've got like a really good feel to them.
Yeah.
So I play a Strat. I play a Jazz Master. A bunch of pedals. I use a lot of Boss pedals. I know that that's like a lot of gearheads like are very snobby about Boss pedals,
I use
but
Boss
they
pedals.
work. They work so well. And then I actually just got a really nice orange TH30 head and cab now. So it's when we started, I played like a garbage $200 Fender solid state amp because I'm like, I don't really care about amps. And then they convinced me to get a tube amp. and then with our new album, we worked in a studio where I pretty much just use an orange head, and I'm like, now I got it. I need.
Once
this.
you play through
Yeah.
one, you're like, okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of my
And
my
then
setup. So.
what's the sound like once you kind of get it out of the amp? Like what would you relate it most to?
Oh boy.
You go
I,
heavy
You've
to
got
I-
a bunch of different components.
I got
Yeah.
like I have an overdrive pedal and I got two fuzz pedals and
I hear the fuzz in the MIDI
I
music.
use a lot of reverb. I love reverb. When I was growing up, I always thought echo and delay was cool and reverb was stupid. and then I got a reverb pedal and I just can't stop using it because it just, especially because there's one guitar, one bass, drums, and vocals. I feel like it really expands the sound a lot.
yeah.
So it kind of makes it sound a little bigger than just one
Oh,
guitar. So
totally
but yeah,
what
for
you
me
mean.
it's fuzzy reverb. I'm a huge fan of like the band Deer Hunter.
Oh yeah.
And so they influenced me to put the reverb in front of the fuzz so that the reverb sound goes through a fuzz pedal, which is monstrous and lots
cool.
of feedback and stuff like that.
Yeah, I can
So-
totally see that with them. I'd never even really thought about that. You mentioned that an SG feels weird. Like, do you mean like musically, like sonically weird, or just like physically?
It sounds great, but physically it's so thin, and the neck can be really weird.
I know what you mean because I do have an SG.
Yeah.
And I have Les Pauls and SGs, so I know when I go between them.
I don't like Les Pauls, but yeah.
I know what you mean. It's thinner. It's to
Some
play
of the Les
faster.
Paul necks feel like you're trying to play a baseball bat.
Yeah.
And I like that.
That's it
All
works for
power
some
to you,
people.
man.
It
Yeah,
works,
yeah,
but
I like that.
I like single coils. But my Strat has a humbucker in it. It's actually I always say it's like the most single coily humbucker I've ever played though. So it gives you the really clean, bright tone, but also gets rid of all that annoying hum. So
Nice.
you know, anyway, I've said too much. So.
My gear. Well, originally before this band started, I was a guitar player. So guitar gear I had in spades, and to join this band, I actually told Mano that I could do the gig before owning any bass equipment. So I hopped down to Long and McQuaid and rented a bass and a Sans amp, and kind of have just been building on that. So I ended up buying that Sans amp and then buying another Fender bass.
Nice.
Fender Jaguar, which is got the P bass pickup and the jazz pickup. So you got all the tones.
Very versatile.
They are, yeah. They don't really sound like either, but it does its own thing a little bit.
Yeah.
And I just like the offsets. Like Natalie's got the Jazz Masters. I love that shape. It's kind of quirky and weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then just pedals. Like the Sans amp is, every bass player has to have a Sans amp. They kind of aren't the best sound, but it will get you a sound that you can use. And then I recently found
it's a good start.
It is. It's kind of one of those that it'll do the job. It works. They sound great and amazing. They're well built, but they're not the be all and end all. Which is why I went down the Dark Glass route. So the Finnish company, Dark Glass Electronics, they make bass pedals, and they're awesome. And it's a similar idea, but it's a whole lot more EQ and stuff like that. So there's 4 different EQ points, and you can shift the mids around and blend in some drive and stuff.
Nice.
Fuzz pedals. So we both actually have big muffs. I have the Russian, and Natalie has just the standard big muff.
Well, the Nano.
Oh, the Nano. That's right. Yeah.
Because I don't have the room for the
Well, yeah,
the
that's
regular
exactly
size
right.
one.
Yeah.
Take up half my pedal board.
So we do
That's
that.
always been the most interesting name for a pedal, and I've always seen those as the big muff.
Yeah.
Super Fuzz Big Muff.
That's the one. I was gonna say probably the quirkiest thing I do in terms of sound is using a delay on bass to emulate a guitar part. Because Mike and I were jamming and wrote this like pop punk inspired song at one point, so I'm playing chords up high on the bass, and it kind of didn't really. Originally, Mano played guitar on it when we first started doing it, and then she kind of stopped playing guitar in the band. And to emulate the sound of a guitar on bass, I used a delay as a short slapback, and it has some like chorusing modulation on it, so it just sort of fattens things out a little bit when you play. So that's probably the quirkiest thing I use. A song called Reactor. It's pretty cool.
Speaks true to my heart. When I played bass, my biggest influence was Cliff Burton, like Metallica's original bassist or second bassist, if you want to get technical.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he uses a wah pedal along with another distortion pedal. So the first thing I did is I found someone with a wah pedal, bought that, and I made like, hey, can I make this really? Yeah, I got it from you, wasn't it? Yeah, we traded it for something.
Yeah.
I gave you my super
overdrive.
Super overdrive. I never used it.
The SD1?
Yes.
Oh, that's my go-to pedal. Yeah, I love that pedal. And it's $60.
Yeah.
It was good. I had a really bad guitar. I'm like, this is not helpful, and didn't sound good on the bass.
Yeah.
But the wall was just like such a nice little touch on it. I don't know. It was fun.
Cool. Yeah, my theory when I first started playing bass was that really cheap, bad guitar pedals will sound great on bass. It still holds. It does hold true, but if you do buy nice pedals, they sound that much nicer.
Makes sense.
It does make sense.
I had a DS1 that I bought off Kijiji for $20.
Oh, yeah.
It was everywhere when we first started playing, and then one day I went, "This doesn't sound very good. I'm just trying to make it work," and it never quite did.
Someone loaned me a black metal, like the heavy metal fuzz pedal. Did not work. I'm like, this is a sound somewhere in there.
That's exactly right. It's a sound.
Yeah.
Awesome. I play a little bit of a unique kit. I play Pearl Wood Fiberglass, which is the reissue of their 70s fiberglass kit. So it's 7-ply copper, and then they don't list the thickness of the fiberglass, but it's a single layer on the inside. And then, Remo heads across the board. Typically, it's a clear Emperor on top, and then a coated vintage Emperor on the floor tom, just a 4-piece kit.
Yeah.
And then Ambassador's bottom. And then I have a custom SJC snare that is approximately 12-ply maple with two 2-inch vet holes, 14 by 6.5, and then a pink and white barbershop swirl with gold hardware. Then I have
insane.
Then I also have a vintage acrylic Ludwig, like clear acrylic Ludwig, but that doesn't get used very often. Then I recently picked up another, like just a practice kit that you'll probably see on gigs for I have to we're sharing kits or something like that, I'll just kind of just bring that along. 'Cause I don't really mind that one getting beat up because my kit's a nice lacquer green. So.
And it's
What?
also sparkly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a green sparkle. It's a green sparkle. Yeah.
Is that like so as a drummer, is that a thing that like bugs you, right? If you guys are headlining a show and you have to put your kit up and you're sharing a kit, you know, does like
Yeah. Can I swear?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Fucking hate it.
please enlighten us.
I absolutely hate it. Like I understand it from the logistics standpoint. It's hard, but I mean, we did a show with Union Stockyard, Slow Steady, and it was Nick Dyson. So there's 3 kits changing.
Love Nick Dyson.
Right?
That guy fucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a 3-kit changeover, and honestly, it went extremely smooth. Like it didn't take any longer. Like we're all playing 4-piece kits, and like none of the other guys wanted to share their kits, which was totally fine. I mean, most places have a digital board now, so they can save the scene, right? So you do a sound check, you can save the scene, and like I understand with the you know the sound guy coming in and having to move mics every single time as opposed to somebody sitting down and going. But I mean, I've seen changeovers that take longer with a shared kit than us flipping them over. Like you just gotta be smart about it. Like
Yeah.
I'm usually half an hour before our set, so midway or 3/4 the way through the set before us, I'll have my kit set up in my configuration, like how I would play it, so I can just pick it up piece by piece, set it into place, and go. And then I usually move the mics myself because you kind of know where they're gonna go.
Exactly.
So I don't know. That's just the thing. It's like you don't ask the guitar players to share guitars, right?
Right.
That kind of thing, right? And it's like
It happens.
I've seen guys save the show by handing guitars.
Yes.
I mean, amp sharing. It always seems to be a bass amp share, never a guitar amp share, which I don't understand. They both have tone knobs. But I don't know.
Wait,
that's
bass amps have tone knobs
Yeah,
on
bass
them?
amps have tone knobs.
Hence the Sans amp. So then you plug the front of house into the Sans amp, so they don't need to know what my amp sounds like.
Yeah.
So they just get that feed, and it's just for me.
But yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. It's just like a comfortable melon kit, and it's it sounds the way I sound. Yeah, for the most part, things going through the front of house, like a bass drum will sound like a bass drum, no matter what, because the sound guy usually do the same thing on everything, and the toms will just sound the same. And,
Right.
snare and cymbals, which is somebody supplies a backline kit, and you usually bring those anyway for breakable, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, it was like I was at a show. I'm not gonna name what bands were involved with it, but I was at a show and like the drummer for the second band that was on was going like way too hard on like, the other dude's snare, and
Yeah,
fucking
yes.
put a hole in it.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't like.
I was at that show.
I looked at the drummer. And I was like, "Whoa, are you all right with this?" And he was just like, you could tell he was just like burning up inside.
Well, yeah, because
We were at a show and someone one of the guitarist jumped on like the bass drum.
Yeah, jumped
off
off of someone else's
Yeah.
bass drum.
Oh.
bass drums are not designed to hold human weight.
No, not at all. I get that it's like if you have an insane amount of money and you can replace your bass drum whenever the heck you feel like it,
Yeah.
fine. Like it's a
Yeah.
good stage. It's
Yeah.
a good stage thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if you're a little part of the local scene, then don't
Yeah.
do
Well,
it.
that's why
If it's a stranger's drum kit, don't do it.
Yeah,
Especially if it's a
that.
stranger.
Anything
That's,
that's
that's
not
why I
yours,
bought
yeah.
the cheap kit, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
cheaper kit that I don't really care it gets beat up because it's already beat up.
Yeah.
Those ones, fucking jump off those. I don't care. Do
Yeah.
whatever you need to.
Don't give them ideas.
I felt bad one time. We were at an open mic and we were using the drum kit, and our drummer gets up there and he does one beat down on the bass pedal,
Yeah.
and the thing fell apart. The pedal fell apart, and he felt guilty for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, of
But it
course,
was
yeah.
probably a
Yeah.
cheaper pedal.
Yeah, like I always bring my own pedal, my own throne, so I know my
Yeah.
heights.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
I probably bring too much stuff for somebody who has something backlined, but I'd rather not have something go wrong.
I don't blame you, right? Like,
And I know my gear works, right? I keep good care of my gear, right? So like my biggest thing is, because I only use 2 cymbals, crash and a ride, and the ride is essentially a secondary crash for me. And it needs to have a certain sort of tension and support on it, otherwise it goes completely vertical, and I can't play the fucking thing. All
Right.
it does is ting, we're not playing, I'm not Nico behind Iron Maiden there,
I love Nico.
So like it needs to crash, so it needs to stay flat. So lots of cymbal stands will have old felts that are they just waver like crazy. There's no support on them. Just little tiny things like that just make my playing a little bit annoying, and I can't enjoy myself as much as I want to. But yeah, anyway.
So this is all gear talk. Let's go to the vocals. Let's
Yeah.
do the gear talk here.
Yeah. Well, I use a Boss vocal pedal.
Oh,
Nothing crazy. I still want my voice to sound like a voice. I just like use like a bit of reverb and some delay. And then I have a mic. I never remember what kind of mic it is.
Sennheiser
Okay,
935.
there you go. Yeah, that's it.
yeah.
What kind of prep goes, like, because you have when you get on stage, it is like a really growly
Yeah.
voice,
Right.
which I can't imagine is super easy
No.
on the chords.
No.
What kind of prep goes into getting ready for either recording
Yeah.
or a gig?
Yeah, I still am working on it. Like it's definitely hard to sing like that, but like yeah, I just do like what's it called, like lip thing, like I do like a lot of that, or like some. I don't really do scales a whole lot, but I'll just kind of like I don't know, do little warm ups, but
Stretching.
stretching. I stretch a lot for sure.
Lots of high kicks.
Yeah, I got yeah, my neck will be so sore if I don't stretch. So I,
Oh, yeah.
Which is actually like a really solid segue into the next question about
Yeah.
stage presence.
right.
There's definitely a lot of Iggy Pop in there.
Of course.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we've had a lot of people come to me and say, "Hey, you got to see Silence Kit and the stage show that they put on." So that's what we want to tie into. Is let's talk about your stage show. What goes into that? Where did the
I think my favorite artists were the artists that like really gave everything on stage and were clearly exhausted. Like those are my favorite people. I love Karen Othnia Ayaz. I like Alison Mossart from The Kills and Dead Weather a lot. She's completely wild. I love David Bowie. Like I don't know, just like a little bit of theatrics I think can go like, a long way. in
Oh, for sure.
performance. I don't want. I mean, I'm cool people standing and performing if you're gonna like really deliver. But otherwise, like, you gotta give her.
Oh yeah, you got to
Yeah.
give her.
No, I agree with that. There's been a lot of times in local bands, at least, where you hear their stuff, their samples, they send you stuff, and they're like, "Hey, check out our music." I'm like, "Cool, yeah, this is really awesome. When are you guys going to be playing a show?" And I'll go to wherever, the Handsome Daughter or the Goodwill or wherever the heck the park, and it'll just be like, 5 dudes that are just there playing, and the music sounds fine, and it sounds like exactly
Wind
right.
up toys.
You can see it anywhere. It's not like a
Yeah.
special.
No,
Yeah.
but there are you guys, and there's some other ones too. Screaming at Traffic, Look North, that just go up there and they just bang when they're on
Yeah.
stage. They're all over the place. And
Bright
really-
Righteous.
Bright Righteous is another
Yeah,
one.
another reason why it's important to be performative is that I feel like people see you and you're not, but you're still good. They'll be happy with the performance and they'll be happy they went, but they might not see you again.
Yeah.
But if you really give it every time, they know like each show's me so different that they'll continue to want to see you.
Yeah.
You're an entertainer.
Yeah, that's And I think
Bottom line.
if you know that right away, starting a band, I think that'll definitely help you
Right.
down the road for sure.
Yeah, albums are a creative outlet, whereas like stage shows are like an entertainment.
That's what brings
outlet.
the people
For
out
sure.
for sure.
I feel like I really enjoy recording and things like that, but I kind of look at our live show and how we perform those songs and how we record them to be like almost like 2 different bands in a way,
Yeah.
because I think it's just like it's so important. It's hard not to like move and be energetic, just because I can stand there and I can probably hit 99.9% of the notes, which is fun, but for me, music is very cathartic. And it's also, if you kind of flub notes here and there, like it adds to the excitement of it.
Yeah, you're human.
Because to me, like part of why I enjoy live music is, especially, I feel like I'm not just saying this about bands because I'm like, oh, I'm so good and you're not. Like I think this is the best part about our band is that it feels like it could all completely fall apart in an instant, and that creates tension, and that tension is excitement and energy and things like that. So
Performance art.
yeah, so that's the thing I really enjoy about it is the fact that like, and it's happened where like I'll turn around and all of a sudden James is there and his guitar strap got hooked and it detuned one of my strings, and I'm like, well, I can't use that string for the rest of the song, and it's just like. And so it's super interesting.
Actually, that was one of my next questions is there any big stage mishaps?
Yeah. I think I whacked James in the head with the mic
Hit
stand.
me with a mic stand a few times.
You've taken the grunt of this a few times,
Yeah.
I think the biggest one for me was the Forks one. So I was actually working the Forks stage as the backline tech. So I'd been there since like 7 in the morning. We played at like 9:30 p.m. So I made sure, like I prepped all the backlines, so I brought all the stuff that I used. and I set the snare up, and we're playing. But then when hitting it, I knocked loose the snare wires at the bottom enough that I couldn't like fix it while we were playing. So I think I went 2 songs in. 'Cause I think the third song was a bass intro. So it was just like, James, start the song, and then I ran off the stage, grabbed a new snare, put it in, and then I think I sat down and was ready just as my cue started, like right on the one.
Oh, nice.
I actually also had that's the same one would be at that same gig, like except for the first song. Starting the set, we like to create a little bit of feedback and make some noise going. Well, one of those things is hit the bass real hard, and it creates feedback, and it all goes. Detunes it by almost a full half step, the entire bass. Never happened before. So I'm going in and we're playing. I'm looking at Natalie, and we're looking at each other like, what the hell's going on right now? And then I kind of realized about halfway through the song, oh crap, it's me. And I'm kind of like trying to bend notes to transpose back into the right key, but it's not like a perfect half step, so I can't just change it. It's kind of somewhere in the middle.
Like
So it was quickly, it was just kind of like that, and it was just kind of like bending, and it's like, oh god, this is terrible. And it's right off the hop. It's all just went completely wrong, and then as soon as we go into the next song, it kind of started with a bit of noise, so I quickly tuned back up. Well, it was me. Well, we'll be good from here on out.
As a singer, I never notice these things. I have no clue what's going on.
You're in your own world
Yeah.
at this point,
Yeah,
right?
we're playing that song, and it's
Chaos going on behind you.
on. Something's,
No notice.
and sometimes you can because it was just so slight. It's like, am I just hearing that through the front, or like what,
Yeah.
And then the second song, Mike's yelling at me, hey, and I turn around, and he's like, the stair's broken, and I'm like, well, I'm playing, I can't really help you.
I think that cymbal was down at one point.
Oh yeah,
too.
and then it got bent, and
Yeah.
I tried fixing it, and it didn't work.
So, Nat, this is your one time to go up there for a 5-minute guitar solo.
yeah, oh god.
Just turn on every pedal and just start just playing
exactly.
the most random thing you can do.
Start playing the SpongeBob theme song.
Oh, yes.
Give her doing a bunch of time.
Actually, I did learn there's a great tab on YouTube of the Jeopardy music, the thinking music on bass, and you can like tap it out. So it's like the do. You play it like the bass with your left hand and tap the melody with your right hand.
Of course you'd find
Unfortunately, my bass doesn't have quite enough frets to get up, but on one of my other basses I can, and so one day it might need to come out.
Nice.
I think people would probably
We're all
pop
shaking
for
our
that.
heads. By the way.
They'd probably be really excited for that.
that. Don't encourage him. Yeah.
I think you guys can become Facebook friends later. And then
Maybe. Yeah.
do you have any pre-stage rituals before playing a gig?
We used to pray to David Bowie.
We used
Sure.
Pray to David
We did that like twice, I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
you just blew my mind saying
Okay.
that, because we used to say, can you remember the term white rabbit camping? When
Yeah.
smoke
Yeah,
blows
yeah,
in your
yeah,
face?
yeah.
Well, it wasn't working one day, so a friend in our group said, praise Bowie.
Wow.
And every time we said praise Bowie, the
It
smoke
works.
moved, and it swirled
I
all
believe
night.
it.
It was the trippiest thing ever. We may or may not have been on something, but but yeah, sorry. What pre-stage rituals were you talking about?
We used to have
Pray
like a
to Bowie.
group. We used to have like a group
Yeah,
hug.
I think we kind of all just kind of warm up in our own little world,
Yeah.
which is fairly typical of most
Yeah.
bands. I think every kind of backline thing that I've done, I've always seen drummers in one corner, singers somewhere else, and they're all kind of doing their own little warm up in their own world, and they kind of come together just before going on stage, kind of thing.
That happens too.
Yeah, I don't know. Depends on the night, I guess. Really.
You wing it.
Usually it's
Yeah.
just, I find that once depending where we are in the set, usually the band before us, the first like 2 songs I'll kind of listen to, and then I'm just like, okay, I'm ready now, let's go. So you
Yeah.
just kind of sit there and
I guess if you're the headliner that night, you got more time before going on versus like if you're like in the middle of the day, you gotta quickly wait for that band to get off. You get on and get prepped. So there's kind of really not much time in there.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
a festival stage is a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Right. It's on off quick as possible, and typically, yeah. I always want to try and warm up half an hour before, because I always get warm. I'm always warm by like the last song, and everything else is a struggle. So
Yeah.
that
I
kind
totally
of
know what
thing.
you mean.
So you guys have a new EP coming out, and so like in terms of recording, what was different about the recording process of this versus your
lot.
previous EP?
Everything. is
Okay.
different. Yeah. I'll go.
Yeah,
Sure.
you're good expert.
So our first EP started as a whisper. Recorded all in my living room.
Except the drums.
A lot of
No,
bands
no.
are doing that.
Oh yeah, that's
nowadays.
right. We didn't do the drums. The two singles, the drums were in my in my living room, but the drums we did in a very tiny space at a friend's studio with at least some decent front end. And then we did. Is there a rat in here? We'll just ignore that sound that happened. Yeah, everything was done in the living room, and then like I recorded everything, and we all kind of had a little input on the mixing and everything, and then we sent it to a local guy to do the mastering, and I mean it turned out all right. Then for the
Been a little generous, but
well, we get lots of compliments on it. The songs are kind of old now for us. We've evolved from those songs. I think that's the main point that comes out of that. Then so we wanted to for the next one, we kind of wanted to step up our game and separate ourselves kind of from the Winnipeg music scene. We kind of noticed that a lot of people were going to the same guys, the same places to do their records. A lot of people going to Privateer, a lot of people go to Exchange.
Yeah.
Out of Town Sound was doing a lot of the mastering.
and there's nothing wrong with
No,
that.
it all sounds great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. We just wanted something different. That's all it was. We wanted something different. So a lot of us like. I'm a punk guy, so Rain City Recorders in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Tons of Winnipeg punk went down there, goes down there, and a bunch of everything. And then we're big. It turns out we're all big fans of a lot of Vancouver area bands as well. So it's kind of a nice little tie-in that way.
Yeah.
We kind of looked into it, did our research. We found producer/engineer Jesse Gander, who has done a shitload of records, a lot of them that we love.
Most notably, like Japan Droids, White Lone,
Pack
All the
AD.
Pack
AD.
ADs.
So, some really cool.
Yeah,
cool
he's
stuff.
done live.
so-
Those Japan Droid albums are incredible.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did Dead Ranch too.
He
He
did
did
Dead
both Dead
Ranch,
Ranch albums,
yeah.
one here, one out there, which is pretty cool.
Someone was telling me
got-
that he
he's
went
got
to
a lot
like
of ties with Winnipeg.
Cuba to go do a bunch of like
yeah,
think so.
somewhere
like Cuban punk bands as well.
Cuban punk
Someone
bands,
told
yeah.
me about that, which is really cool. So he's just and he's also like literally a wizard
Yeah.
with Pro
Amazing.
Tools.
It's insane.
He doesn't use a mouse. He uses like one of those drawing pads.
Oh yeah.
And he
Stylus pad.
stylus pad
Yeah.
for the computer, and he just like it's like what?
And it's so quick. Like I go record vocals. Like by the time I come back, he's already like put them together and like
Mhm.
it's like
Yeah, it was
Take a listen
insane.
to this.
It was absolutely insane.
We were there for 3 days. We did all 5 songs, like everything
100%.
in
Wow.
5 days.
In 5
yeah.
days. Yeah.
That's so incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we did a lot of prep work, probably for say 3 months before that.
Yeah, we
pretty
kind of
much just played those 5 songs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we got like the tempos down. We had sort of like scratch takes at those tempos, so that when Mike's tracking drums, then he would hear my guitars, and James was sometimes playing with Mike as well at the same time.
Yeah. I think no, you did the whole thing with me. Just I didn't listen to your live. I listened to the
Yeah.
pre-recording.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I didn't want because it's like we're saving a little time by doing both of us together, and at the same time kind of getting that rhythmic gel. Like the old school live off the floor stuff, like Rage,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
We're just it's so raw, and then they just jive. But I was actually listening to his pre-recorded tracks in case he screwed up, or in case I screwed up. Then I think because you were listening.
I
to
was
the live?
listening. No, I was
You were
listening to the
my
live. Yeah.
Okay. I
So
thought
you
listened
messed
to
me up.
pre-recorded.
But
Okay. I was more important at that point, anyway.
Yeah, I interviewed Metz a little while back, and they said on their latest record they did the same
Love
thing. It was the first time that they had recorded drums and bass at the same time. They said it was hugely helpful in terms of not only creative input, but in terms of recording. Like it just felt more natural.
Yeah, it totally did. I really enjoyed it.
yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
I'd like to do it that way again.
I do
if you
that.
don't mind.
It's difficult because a lot of places don't have the space, right? Like that's the thing. Like not everybody has the space and the capability to be able to record them live at the same time. I think it does sound better though, at least personally. I think it just, especially for like the punkier type stuff, the harder type stuff. I find that you get the rhythm right, and yeah.
Mhm. We actually did one of the songs, the first single actually, and the title track, like a full band live off the floor, which was really cool. So
Yeah,
that was
cool.
that was for me. That was the first song I got to record on the album, but it was their last song, so because of how it went.
It was the next day though. It was the next day.
Yeah,
We did 4 in one day, and you did one overdub.
I just some like where there's one song that has clean bass and distorted bass on it, so we just overdubbed the distorted parts, just so then you get rid of makes it a bit cleaner, the transitions. And then we went in and did that track
we did
completely
that
live
full
off the
track
floor.
to live floor,
And
which
then
was
they
a lot
were
of fun.
done, and then it was up to me and Minot
We
to do
sat
the
there.
rest. Yeah.
So like when you're doing your vocals in studio, do you get just as crazy, or is it hard to not get as crazy?
Well, I mean, when we recorded Plot of Wills and Disaster Struck, I remember I was like, at first I was like, I decided to just record the song like entirely instead of like stopping and recording each, like, yeah. So I just went for it, like, and then Jesse's like, hey, you know what, actually less is more sometimes, like, just like relax, take it down, and just like punch the notes. Like, don't think about making the best song of all time, just like focus, and then that just made it way better. That was like good advice, I thought. Because you think you want to go in there thinking I'm just gonna belt it, I'm gonna kill it, and it's just like that's just the wrong attitude. You just want to focus and like tighten it up.
So that
Probably
touches-
saves your voice a little bit too throughout
Yeah.
the whole process.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't take too long. It was like 5 takes max, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't
is what
this
we went
crazy,
for every
but-
song, so
but
it
yeah.
wasn't crazy at all.
No.
I was gonna say that touches on a great thing there. Jesse's energy is ridiculous in the
Yeah.
studio. Like if
Super
you're kind of getting stuck on something, he's just so positive and like, no, it's
Totally.
fine. Yeah, you just just give it one more. You've hit it. Just do another one. Just to make sure, and he just
Yeah.
kind of keeps it all flowing. His workflow is crazy as well, but his energy that he brings just makes everything better.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like we also didn't expect him to like hang out with us. Like he was super nice.
Yeah,
and,
he
like,
did.
He just took us out.
Yeah, he
He's
took-
like,
he took
where do you
both.
guys want to go? Do you guys want vegan? What do you want? You want this? You want that? And
What's up, hot dog?
yeah,
So
what's
every-
up, hot dog? Yeah,
So
that's our
every
plug.
lunch, he'd like take us out to like a cool
Yeah.
restaurant that we've never been to, obviously
Yeah.
in Vancouver, and
Mhm.
it was
Yeah.
fun. Like we were all like very like, what's the right word? Like impressed with him, like like going into it. So we're all kind of like, oh, like he's kind of a big deal, like it's our first time recording in like a studio properly, and like he was like put us at ease like right away, and it was super cool.
I think what else helped is that the only purpose for going to Vancouver was to do this record.
Mhm.
Like we originally wanted to get 2 days in and play, but then we were having a heck of a time trying to book the 1-date show. So we're like, you know what? If we potentially might lose money on a gig, let's just throw it into another studio day. So we did that. I'm glad, 100%
yeah.
glad we did, because
otherwise we would have come back and then tracked guitars and
Oh, wow.
some
whatever
stuff
was
out
left
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it worked out really well.
And
And then in the last few months, we've been preparing the record. It had been mixed by Jesse as well, and we sent it to Noah Mintz out in Toronto to master it. And he's done so much. Like
all the broken
he's
social scene.
yeah, all except the latest latest 2 Broken Social Scene records. He's done
shit.
the Constantines. He's done Death from Above. He's
Whoa.
done Stars. Like
Okay.
he's-
Kells,
yeah.
Danko Jones.
Billy
Danko.
Talent, like he's done a lot, and then they're also producing it onto some nice vinyl records for us, which is
Oh,
a
nice.
first. So
Not to brag, but he did email us to tell us how much he liked our record.
yeah,
So
so
it was a big compliment.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
no kidding.
so we were we were
Not to
really
toot my
trying
own
to
horn, but-
we were really trying to work with people that just
Understand what we're going for.
yeah, exactly. And so yeah, no, it just sounds. It sounds phenomenal.
It's a great song.
I hate listening to my own recordings,
It's been about
but
like-
sometimes it's like, oh,
it's
I
kinda-
want to hear it again.
It's
you know?
less than a year since we recorded it. I think we all still love it, which I don't think we can say the
That's
same for
true,
our
yeah.
first record. I think
Yeah.
after a while we're kind of like so sick of it. Like I listen to this record all the time, embarrassingly, and like we still all love it. And like I'm really excited for people to hear it.
Yeah,
I think
it
it represents
was-
us like correctly.
Yeah,
you
it was
know?
last
good.
October when we recorded it, so we've been sitting on it for a while.
So
Yeah.
You guys mentioned it's coming out on vinyls. Is it flat black, or did you guys do something cool with it?
Just black, yeah.
It's a black. It's got a cool label though.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
I'm looking forward to this
Yeah.
now.
And the artwork is
yeah.
Yeah, it's very
awesome.
cool artwork as well.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Did you get to do the artwork?
My friend Katie Manning,
Okay.
she did the artwork. Yeah, it's kind of like how do you describe the style? Like kind of like punky, gothy.
Yeah, she also did the kitty kitty shirt. That
Yeah,
we sell.
art, the
Okay.
style. she did,
Yeah.
so.
The one with like the
The-
girl
the-
with the
the
fist.
boxing
up.
girl?
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I've
She
seen that
local?
logo.
Same artist.
She's local,
yes.
yeah.
cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna shift gears over to live shows. You got a show coming up. This will come out after the show, obviously,
Yeah.
but you guys got on the bill for Toba Rock Fest. Tell us
Yeah.
about that and how you got involved.
We got asked.
we just got asked.
Oh, nice.
From yeah.
Ryan, I
was
think.
it Ryan?
Ryan.
Was it
Ryan
who sent
from
the
the
message?
Israeli Dreamers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't remember if it was CJ, Ryan, or
Or
Evan.
Yeah.
It was one of the
It was
three.
all,
it was one of the three.
all
the
three in
organizers.
bands.
Yeah.
No, no, I'm looking forward to this. It's a great bill of like some of the
tickets.
We got tickets. Some people here still need tickets.
Well, if you needed tickets, you should have seen us because.
Oh yeah, we saw Evan and got tickets.
Yeah.
What time? 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I think we're
2 o'clock or midday, any somewhere
Yeah.
around
Oh
there.
yeah. Well, I'll for sure be there.
so,
I'm stoked for that show. Yeah, but yeah, tell us about the pumped for the show. Are you going to be playing some new music at the show?
no.
Set list
No.
to be determined.
Well, the set list has been determined already,
Set list is
actually. So,
determined,
which is kind of rare.
Yeah,
It's becoming more common now. That
Yeah, usually we leave a set list to like maybe a practice or two
Yeah.
before.
Or sometimes like, oh, I guess we need a set list. Okay, well here we
Yeah.
go. We got 15
Yeah.
minutes. So
I guess usually during practices we're also working on something else. Now it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so we're like, let's focus on like practicing for the set, which we
Yeah.
don't always do.
that's true. Yeah. Well, it's also because like, yeah, we've got probably, well, there's 2 that are done, and we got to figure out when we're gonna play those. I think 1 for sure at the album release.
The new songs?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have a
At
couple
least
songs.
1, if not 2,
Yeah.
there, and then we've been working on a few other ideas. Probably like
tons.
there's
6 to 8
yeah,
works in
yeah.
progress.
So, and I mean, we've been playing songs that were written after the EP for like a year now as well. So that should be going on to the next one. So,
Okay.
yeah. So new songs, kinda, I guess, but they're not recorded.
Okay.
So
yeah.
they'll be new in that sense. But yeah, no, it'll be great. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of great bands on that bill, and I mean, I remember Jet Set Satellite from when I was a kid. So I mean, those guys.
Me too. That was like my favorite
Yeah.
local band for the longest time.
Yeah.
Like when I was early 20s, I would go to every single show out there. So I'm so glad Trevor and those boys are getting back out.
I remember seeing them on John Vision back
Yes,
in the day.
at the
yeah,
Forks.
at the Forks. Yeah,
Yeah.
when they just built that. Yeah,
You can
so-
still find those clips on YouTube.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I was because that show introduced me to the band Limblifter as well.
Okay, yeah.
Which I'm a big fan of, and yeah. So.
Yeah. Nice. Have you played other festivals before?
You kind of mentioned that you had at other.
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
Pain in
we
the
played
Ass.
Canada at the Forks this year, which was amazing.
Play
That
Festival.
was awesome. Festival de Voyageur this year as well.
Yeah,
yes.
that was
That's
amazing.
right.
That was
That's right. I
That
do remember
was
seeing you
even
on the
better.
note.
That was
Yeah.
that was a
That
packed
was
Sugar Shack.
something else. That was
Yeah,
like,
that's
Yeah.
right. There's a lot of pictures kicking around on our.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
we have a huge
Yeah,
folder
Joey
of all
took a
that,
million
so-
pictures, and like
Yeah.
between Sean and Quincy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
all
the
those
it's
guys,
like the
yeah.
pictures of us are like cool, whatever, but like there's a lot from behind us, and like the people in front are just like losing their minds, and so like it makes it just feel pretty good to see
Yeah, it
that.
does,
so.
Yeah.
Sherbrooke
What else
Street
do we- yeah.
Festival.
Played
That
Ellis
was-
Street Fest.
Ellis
Ellis
Street
Street
Fest.
We
Fest,
played
yeah.
Pride last year.
We did.
Oh, nice.
Pride was awesome. Yeah, playing out on that big stage at the Forks is so much fun because
Mm-hmm.
I have a huge amp and I just got to turn it up real loud. And generally, you have a sound guy
We're
telling
not
you
allowing James to buy a fridge, so he just has to wait till there's a backline for it.
Yeah, the SVT. Generally, sound guys tell you to quieten it down, and it was just like it was already almost on full volume, and it was just like you pluck one string and it blows you across the stage a little bit. It's like you look around, no one says anything. It's like I'm gonna enjoy this.
Yeah.
So you guys prefer outdoors or indoors?
I prefer indoors. As a vocalist,
I
indoors.
prefer
Indoors.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than playing an outdoor show and you can't see what pedal is on because the
Yes.
lights aren't
Oh,
bright enough.
yeah.
It's on, you're like,
Okay, yeah.
let's hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ellis
Turning
Street
it on.
Festival, I accidentally hit my looper. So like, I was like, thanks guys, this is our next song. And then in the middle of the song, I was like, thanks guys, this is our next song. I was like, what's going on? Like, don't know what's happening.
I like outdoor because the drums sound awesome.
Yeah.
But
Carries.
I do prefer an indoor just for the intimacy. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like a lot of festivals, there's like a 10-foot gap between the stage and the crowd, right? I like the crowd right up there.
It's hot usually. I'd rather not be hot.
That's the
Yeah.
thing that's a little bit concerning for
Saturday,
next week.
yeah.
It's going to be
2
like
o'clock.
32, 34.
It's gonna be great.
Now, which way is the stage facing?
Don't know.
I don't know. I don't think
I
anybody
think
knows.
it's the fall. Isn't it the fall jam?
It is the same venue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've never been there, but whatever way, whatever,
Listen,
listeners, whatever way that stage
Yeah.
is facing.
I'm planning on
Yeah.
wearing a full suit, so it's gonna
Oh boy.
be awful. But
Okay.
fun.
So
It'll be fun,
we'll try and bring you lots of water.
right?
Bring over there.
Yeah, we'll throw some bottles up
Yeah.
the stage
The,
for you.
for the pedal board outside, you could always like put like a hood over top so you could
But
see
then
it.
I'm gonna step on that. I have the
Fair.
worst balance. I'm surprised I don't fall over all the time.
I
when
do
I'm playing,
sometimes.
so,
I
yeah.
have almost done the like my left foot would be the switching foot.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll forget to bring that back and turn to go somewhere, and it's just
Yeah.
lanky clumsiness.
Even when we're practicing, we practice in
You
Mike's
trip over
basement.
everything.
I like trip. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah. How Angus Young can do it without falling, I don't know.
Lots of practice. He's like a million years
He's
old.
got
Yeah.
no pedals.
He's got no
That's it.
pedals. He's got no wires.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
still, if I was running and playing like that, I would just, I'd biff. I would biff. Okay. Well, let's move on to something else here. Let's get on to future plans of the band. We're going forward. What's the goal? What's the dream? What's the plan?
Well, are we giving a schedule, or are we telling them when the EP's coming out?
Yeah.
Let's start with the
We'll
EP.
start
Absolutely,
that.
yeah.
We'll start that. Okay. October 5th.
Okay.
That's when that release. When is the release party?
What's the name of it?
Kitty
The
Kitty.
Kitty.
Technically, it's
Sounds
Sounds
Kit
Kit
presents
presents Kitty Kitty.
Yes, that's technically.
You'll see the
full title.
artwork; it'll make sense.
Okay.
Right now, you're gonna be like,
Where are
"What?"
people going to be able to pick it up?
From us at the Goodwill at the show. Yeah.
Spotify and
Yes.
Google Play.
All that fun
Bandcamp?
stuff. Yep, of course.
Bandcamp,
Yeah.
Apple Music, Spotify.
I'm sure we'll drop some off at like Into the Music and
Sunrise will have some.
Sunrise.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
easiest
nice.
way though, just shoot us a message.
Yeah.
We're
So
personable
listeners
people.
can message you guys
Yeah,
directly.
yeah.
You guys
Even,
get
even,
them.
even for like our T-shirts and
Yeah,
other
anything,
things.
yeah.
That is so
our
cool.
current
Yeah.
album, I think we still have some copies,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, I think so. It's like,
So-
hey, yeah, I want to pick up this. Cool, yeah. And then we'll figure out a time to meet.
But I think after the release, I think a goal for us would be to get on showcases. I think that's like a next kind of
Yeah.
big thing for us. Wonderland.
Yeah. Any dream venues that you guys would like to play, or like even locally? Any big venues you'd like to get out and play at?
Well, we've
Played everything.
played the West End.
most
We've played the
things.
Park.
Yeah.
Goodwill hasn't done. We've pretty much.
But not like the Garrick or like.
I think the Garrick.
The Garrick would
The
be.
Garrick's
Yeah.
center would probably be the one.
Do you guys
that
have a
would be
favorite venue to play at?
Handsome daughter.
I see.
Probably the Daughter.
I actually think there's a little bit biased, but I my sound there's always.
It's such a
good.
good venue.
Corey's really.
Corey
love-
nails
yeah.
that.
I love
that
going to
sound.
shows at the
The only
Daughter.
thing I don't like is I do like if the green room from the Goodwill could come over to the Daughter.
Oh.
That would kind of be like the perfect. I don't know. Perfect match.
Yeah.
I don't really have a favorite
Right.
venue, to be honest. I like them all. They're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like playing music, so.
Yeah. There's a stage
Just
crowd.
having fun. Yeah. Give her a guitar, give her some crowd,
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're at about 50 minutes, so it's time for the last question. You think? Yeah?
Yeah, I think
How
so.
loaded is it?
Okay. I have, I've been doing interviews for a while. We've been doing interviews together as a while. And we always ask the hardest question of all time at the end of the interview. And it's, so are you guys ready for it?
Yeah.
Is a hot dog a sandwich, and why or why not?
Oh.
Each one of you has to have your own independent answer.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Can't be
everyone, so there's sound isolation booths that we
Yeah.
can all take turns in,
Cone
right?
cone of silence.
Plain feud.
Can I go first so then I can have the most independent?
Sure.
answer?
Yeah.
Explain that one.
Go for it.
I've got my own thoughts.
A hot dog has to be a sandwich.
Yeah.
Because
Word.
it's like a substance, whatever, like an ingredient inside two
Yeah,
pieces of bread.
exactly, whatever
It's
it
like a
is.
sandwich,
But is it two pieces
but
of bread?
rotated.
But is it calzone a sandwich? Because then that
Is
because
the bun pre-cut or do you have to
we-
cut the bun yourself? Because you have to cut the bun yourself, you may
Sandwich.
fuck up.
I still think
And
it's. I
all
think
of a sudden
I agree
It's a
with you.
sandwich. It has to be
Anyway.
a sandwich.
No, then you just throw that out and get a new bun.
Well,
Sorry, continue. Jason.
Food in
Hang
between
on.
bread, maybe not two slices, but in between.
In between bread, that's exactly right.
Okay, here's a wrench in the question. Is
Oh, God.
bread and a bun the
Like
same
this.
thing?
It's the same
Okay.
thing.
Okay. Okay.
I've
for
been
the
to a
most,
bakery.
well,
I know how bread's
well,
made.
The problem is I eat mostly non-white bread because I find it disgusting. But all the buns that you can get like those whole wheat buns, but those aren't good.
Okay.
But all the buns are like processed. So to me, I would separate them in mind, but also recognize it's bread. So bread is bread. Whether
Yeah,
it's
I'm
fancy
on Adam's boat
baguettes
on that
or
one. Yeah, bread is bread.
bread is bread.
Whatever.
So
Wait, are we all agreeing? Like
That
us?
is a sandwich.
Yeah, it's a
what else
sandwich.
would it be?
Yeah.
Like what other category would it be? Like that's the thing. I
What do
don't
you
know.
think?
I am of the opinion that it's not, because I think a sandwich has to have the intention of closing on all sides.
What about an open face sandwich?
Yeah.
That's not
Still sandwich.
really.
It's got the
It's
word
got
open
sandwich.
face
Sandwich.
sandwich.
The type sandwiches in the
I
title.
know.
Yeah, but like I
It's
don't
like
know.
a
There's
chiropractor being a
there's the
doctor.
word salad and macaroni salad, and that's not really salad either. So.
But okay, but I
It's
mean,
got green things in it. I think it counts.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you're gonna
Like
go
the Jell-O?
like full if you're gonna go full like sandwich anarchist, you could make the case that like a Pop-Tart is a sandwich, right? So like
How's it not a sandwich?
True. It
That's the question. That's the question.
closes on all sides.
I think it'd be a pastry.
Totally.
I think because there's no
Pastry,
filling.
yeah.
The filling is not right. I don't know. Like I'm kind of a sandwich traditionalist.
So the filling can't be liquid? Is that kind of?
Yeah, that's kind of like, but I don't know, like, it can be paste, but I think it can't be like full on liquid, right?
Yeah.
'Cause
So I have a
it-
question
Like a
for you.
peanut butter and jelly sandwich is a sandwich.
So you talk about being a sandwich purist.
Yeah.
Do you have British heritage?
No,
Oh, that's weird to me because that's like the Brits are nuts about sandwiches.
I'm pretty much like 100% Icelandic.
Okay, well, you're just throwing my
Yeah.
whole worldview.
I still stand firm.
Yeah.
Hot dog is its own entity.
Yeah.
A sandwich is 2 pieces of bread
You
with something.
You couldn't go to like a Wawa in the States and order like a hot dog, right? Like, you couldn't like end up at like if it's a hot dog isn't going to be like in the sandwich section of a restaurant, right? Like it's
True.
going to be like someplace else.
Very true.
Sandwiches and handhelds, I believe, is generally what a menu says.
Right.
So it's kind of still under a
Sometimes.
sandwich.
Maybe.
Okay.
It depends.
So
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna go local here. So King
Okay.
and Bannatyne,
Yeah.
they have a lot of sandwiches that use sort of that. I'm not sure really what you call it, but it's that sort of oblong shape where they only cut in the top,
Right.
and they're
Okay.
a sandwich shop, are they not? So then,
Oh.
I suppose so.
Spoiler
But
alert.
like the thing is like that sandwich, you
Oh
can
my God.
put the filling in and close that sandwich on the top.
What?
But if you try to do that
They
with a
cut
hot
it
dog,
wedge.
the bottom splits.
You should
and
be
it
a lawyer.
just-
Are you
I
talking
don't know.
like
That's
the
a
old
really
school
good
Subway way where they took the V nacho?
Yeah. I'm just trying to-
and I don't know.
I don't wanna
know if they
influence
actually
this.
cut
See,
the chunk out.
I don't want to
or-
influence
yeah.
this anymore. This is about like finding out everyone else's preferences.
This table is figuratively and literally divided.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Truly.
it's a bit of a-
Alex is staying quiet over there about it.
I've made my feelings very clear before. It is for sure a sandwich.
Oh.
I mean, like,
Okay, then
I've,
Do you
I've-
see an eye against the world?
as a kid, hot dog sandwiches, 2 pieces of bread. It's the same thing. Whether you wrap it around like that piece of Wonder Bread that's been like sitting in your pantry
You got a
for too long.
mutiny.
Yeah, the weirdest answer I've ever gotten was when I interviewed CJ Ramon, and he just didn't quite grasp the question. He thought I was asking about the meat specifically, and I was like, no, like the whole entire entity. He's like, yeah, but that's not a hot dog. That's like.
The bun.
And I was like,
the meat in
he's
the
like,
bun.
no, he's like the hot dog is the meat, and I'm like, no, like the wiener is like the sausage is the meat. The hot dog is the whole, and he just couldn't get it.
That's so
All right.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Well, guys, it was great having you on. Obviously, everyone can find you on the social medias: Instagram, Facebook,
sure.
everywhere.
At Silence Kit Band. At Silence Kit Band.
SilenceKitBand.com.
And that's
Uh,
You get
website.
links to all our social media, all our streaming places,
Pictures,
videos,
shows, videos,
our upcoming-
YouTube's videos,
everything.
Yeah.
all the above.
All the above.
EP comes out October 5th. Shows at the Goodwill.
Goodwill,
Goodwill
yeah.
Social
So
Club.
everyone's got to go out and get tickets for this.
Absolutely.
There will be pre-sales and ticket at the doors.
Nice. And of course, feel free to contact the band directly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They said it themselves.
Yeah.
All right,
Hope we
guys.
don't regret that. No, I'm just joking.
Well, thank you so much for coming down and chilling this afternoon with us on a holiday weekend.
Yep.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
It's been a blast. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks for everyone for joining in. See you next time.